Okay, so let's go ahead and start off on project 7. What we're going to do is we're going to do a room with some furniture in it. Go ahead and maximize this. Pull these this way. Start off in my top view. And I'm going to go ahead and draw a rectangle, kind of a building size. So let me start with the rectangle tool. So just type rectangle, enter, 0, enter to start at that point. I'm going to do a 15-foot length by a 30-foot depth. And I want to expand my grid zone. So let's do File, Settings, Grid, 1000, enter. So let's make this object 3D. We'll go to perspective, zoom out, type extrude, curve, click on it, enter. Start to drag it up. I got solid on. I'm going to do 12 foot for the height. And then switch views. I'm going to do it in a shaded view just so you can see what I'm working with. Next thing I want to do is I want to actually manipulate this form some so I can try to make it into a more dynamic structure than just a box. So what I'm going to do is go to solid up here and go to solid edit tools, go to faces, and I want to split a face. And select the face to split, click, enter. And then I'm going to go ahead and drag from here to there, which now has divided that face. I can continue if I'd like to. I could go from here to here again. And then hit enter to finish the command. So now I have these edges that I can manipulate. Let's do that. So go up here, go to solid again, solid edit tools, go to edges, and go to move edge. I'm going to select this edge here and this edge here, hit enter. Directional constraint, I want to do vertical. So now I click on my edge and I can move it the direction I want. I can move it down. And I can even type a dimension. So if I go 2 foot, enter, it actually moved it up 2 feet. I got to remember to do negative to move it the right way. So if I hit enter, I can bring up the same command again, select these two edges, and I can move it negative 24. So I undo what I just did, and then hit enter again, bring up the same command. I could have done negative 48 or something like that. 24. Whoops. Negative 24. Enter. And that moves it that direction. And you can see I'm already starting to get kind of a cool shape here. But that's a little too complex for what I want to work with right now, so I'm going to undo my edge split, all that stuff. So I can also type solid edit or edge, move edge, or split face. All of those can be typed in so that you can just bring them up with a command line instead of hunting through all of the various options. Enter. So I just split it once, and now I'm going to edge, move, or sorry, backwards. Move, edge, enter. Click on this edge, enter, locked in vertical. Click negative 24. Enter. And if I wanted to, I could, move this edge and this edge vertical. So it kind of sticks up a little bit more on that side. You know, you can just play with the shapes, kind of come up with something cool. So I'm going to move this down -8 more inches. Just give it a little bit more depth. Once you get kind of a shape that you want, you can do you can make it into a room by turning it into a shell. So you select shell, enter, click on a face you want to remove. That's going to be your open face, and change your thickness 6. Enter. 6 inches is kind of industry standard. We do that for a lot of rooms because we've got 5/8 inch drywalls, 2x4s, and we just round it up to 6 just for architectural purposes. And now let's do a floor in here. So I'm going to draw a rectangle. And since my grid is going this way, my rectangle will go in line right there. And then I can click on it, select the curve, and then extrude, curve, vertical. So I'm just going to do 0.5, enter. So now I've got a floor on there. And we can make that a different material. And we want to always make sure that when we do 3D objects that you set them on top of each other, not overlapping. Okay, and let's go ahead and do some more windows and stuff like that. So I'm going to make a big long window here, do a couple of skylight style windows there, and maybe even one in the back here. So the easiest way to do that is just to do some polyline traces. So I'm going to type polyline, enter, and click. Just kind of move around my shape, make sure I'm using all my snaps. So I've got that curve. Okay, I'm going to do another one over here. I'm going to do one more over here. So I'm just tracing, making sure my snaps snap to the right location. And then one on the back. So let's select all of this, shift or option click to erase the solid from our selection. And now I'm just verifying that I've got all of my my lines lined up on the surfaces properly before I make my extrusions or offsets. I'm going to go ahead and click on this, middle click your mouse, and then go hide object. Click on this, middle click your mouse, hide object. And then I'm going to erase this, delete that, delete that. Those are the 2D lines we use to make our 3D shapes, which we don't need anymore. Now I'm going to offset, OFF for offset, enter. Specify my distance, I'm going to do 12, click here, and there. And then I'm going to do that again with this one, there, this one, there, this one, there. So it's just the offset command, same thing we used before. But now I want to make this window on the ground level maybe a little bit higher. So I don't want that even 12 inches all the way around. So I'm going to click my middle mouse and hit explode. Click my middle mouse, hit explode. What that did is it broke out these into separate pieces. So now when I offset this, you can see that it wants to go the wrong way though because of my grid orientation. So I've got to go to a right view. And now offset again, this one, and now it'll go up. And I can go up one more. Okay, delete this, Now I want to radius those two. I can either trim or I can fillet with the radius of 0. Enter, click, click, enter, click, click. So that rounds those corners. Now I'm going to go to a front view and offset this one this way. I can change it to 24, but I'm just doing it twice, and then I'm going to erase this, and then fillet with the 0 radius. Enter again, bring it back up, and there you go. Now I want to go ahead and make all of these pieces one piece again. I'm going to go back to perspective so that, let's see. So this is actually something I can show you. I don't know if I showed it to you in the last video, but if you want to select a part on the surface here, it's very difficult. If you click on, you can just click on each one and shift to add to it. But if you accidentally click something else, you'll accidentally grab something else. But if you go from left to right with your click and drag, it'll only grab objects that it completely encompasses. And I can now join that together by typing join. So if I do that again, click and drag from left to right, it'll only grab this rectangle that's, or modified, or that quadrilateral that I've got here. So join, enter. So now it's all one piece. Okay, so let's go ahead and extrude this curve, this curve, this curve, and this curve. Enter. And I'm going to do -7. Enter. This one. Enter. -7. Enter. Or just 7. Enter. 7. Enter. -7. Enter. Okay, I extruded it both ways on accident, so I'm going to just delete this, delete that, and we leave those forms there. Okay, so click the middle mouse button, bring back show objects, and so now I'm going to cut those holes out using the same tool we did on the wood block and the styrofoam project. Boolean, B-O, Boolean, difference, enter. Click on the object you want to cut from, enter. Click on the objects you'd like to remove from it, and then hit enter. Cool, so I've got this kind of open shaped room with really nice lines on it. Now we got to make some solids that mimic windows. So I'm going to click, select that curve. You know what? I'm going to select all of these curves. Shift click, or sorry, Option. There we go. And then extrude, 0.25, enter. Curve. .25, enter. And the direction doesn't matter on these ones because I'm going to be moving them afterwards. 0.25, enter. .25, enter. So those are panes of glass, but we do not want them laying flat on the surface of the windows or of the window frames. So let's go ahead and move each one of these. Move. Click on that midpoint. Bring it down to that midpoint. Move. And one last one. So I'm just going from midpoint to midpoint. Even though I can't see that midpoint, I know it's there, and so if I drag my cursor over there, it should locate it. So now when we look at this room from the interior here, you can see these windows with frames. I don't quite like the symmetry there. You can come back in and modify stuff too. So if I wanted to go to solid, face, move face, I could probably click that face right there. And then make sure if I click this, actually, you know what? I'm just going to leave it as is because I don't want that to overlap and I have to redraw all that. So just leave it a little bit wonky. That should still look fine later on. Okay, so that gives you the basics of the room. Now I want to start doing some furniture. But first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put everything on layers so that I can control them, and also for adding materials and stuff. It's good practice, keeps it all organized. So I'm going to type layer, and I'm going to now edit these, change it to room or walls. Sorry. Change this one here to window. Change this one here to floor. Excuse me. Enter. Move this over here, and then if I click on an object here, like I click on that floor, I can right click and go move object to this layer. We've gone over this before, but click on this, right click on walls, and move object to this layer, and we notice the colors of things are changing. Shift click to add to the selection, and right click, move objects to this layer. And then I'm going to go through and kind of select some of these, find out if there's any curves on here and delete them. I think I got this curve already, yeah. Oh, and I forgot to move this window into place. So move, click, and find our midpoint. Midpoint. Okay. So this is the start of my room. And you can see our final view kind of will be rendered from inside. Kind of like that. All right, and then the last thing I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to set this as a view, because I think that this is going to be kind of the view that I'm going to want. So I'm going to go to view, set view, show named view panels, add one. This one's going to be called interior, or just render view. So I can close that. Now, if I want to go back to that view, I can just go view, click on render view, and it'll take me right back to it. So that makes it quick to get back to. And you can also just go set view right there. Thank you.